It is 12:59. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Scary situation from last night in the NFL still developing. During the Monday Night Football matchup between Bills and Bengals, Buffalo safety Damar Hamlin went down in the first quarter and was administered CPR on the field before being taken to the hospital. The Bills put out a statement late last night that Hamlin's heartbeat was restored on the field as he suffered cardiac arrest. As of about 1 a.m., he was sedated and in critical condition at the UC Medical Center. The Bills tweeted just within the last hour that he spent the night in ICU. He is still there and remains in critical condition. The NFL announced that the Bengals-Bills game will not be resumed this week. No decision has been made on potentially resuming it at a later date. The league has not yet made any changes to the Week 18 regular season schedule. Titans-Jags slated for a 7:15 kickoff on Saturday night to determine the AFC South champion still on. Mike Vrabel, speaking to the media earlier, delivered his sympathy courtesy of the Titans organization to Hamlin and his family. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome in. It is Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Start the show. You heard Lucas Panziga's update just now. We'll start the show with everything we know about Damar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills. Certainly, any of you who are watching the game tonight or paying attention to sports, you saw the horrific just scene that unfolded during the game between the Bills and the Bengals. Lucas just gave this update from the Buffalo Bills. Damar Hamlin spent last night in the intensive care unit and remains there today in critical condition at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. The Bills say, "We are grateful and thankful for the outpouring of support we have received thus far." There's a statement from his family. Guys, on behalf of our family, we want to express our sincere gratitude for the love and support shown to Damar during this challenging time. We are deeply moved by the prayers, kind words, and donations from fans around the country. We also want to acknowledge the dedicated first responders and healthcare professionals at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center who have provided exceptional care to Damar. We feel so blessed to be part of the Buffalo Bills organization and to have their support. We also want to thank Coach Taylor and the Bengals for everything they've done. Your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. Please keep Damar in your prayers. We will release updates as soon as we have them. The NFL, guys, has also said that there will be no resumption of the game between the Bills and the Bengals this week. It says no decision has been made regarding the possible resumption of the game at a later date, and we have not announced any changes to the weekend schedule. So if anybody just wondered about the game, there's no news about the game other than they will not resume it this week. Blaine, scary stuff last night. I never seen anything like that, and you were one of the first people I thought of, and here's why. Because Lucas and me never played in the NFL. We're not part of that brotherhood. We watch it and we talk about it and we cover it, just like a lot of people. But on this station, you and Ramon and Kevin Dyson, who does his stuff, Keith Bullock, who appears on shows, you guys know what that's like to go out in an NFL game and play in those games. So I thought about all the guys who play in the league now and who have before, and mostly I just thought about this young man and his family, and it was a scary situation. It was a scary situation to watch, and I just hope and pray like everybody else that he's okay.
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, I was watching live just like everybody else, in a big matchup, Bills and the Bengals and AFC and the rankings, and see where they, fall as far as their ranking. And then, this horrific event happens. And, at the time when I'm watching it, I didn't think it was, to be honest, a violent hit, but it was the way that he and where he was hit, because he actually stood up. So I think when he reached to tackle him, his arms came up, and I think maybe that exposed his chest a little bit. And then Higgins' helmet hit him dead in the chest, and then he got up and then just kind of fainted or fell, at least from my view. And and I was just like, man, well, what the heck? I've never seen anything like that ever happen in a game like that, at least in an NFL game. And then it was on Monday night and everything else. And then, everybody else speculating, which is tough because at the time, nobody knows the severity of what's going on. And naturally, first thing people think about is the concussions and things of that nature. And I kept rewinding, saying, nah, he didn't really hit his head until he fell and he fainted or passed out or what have you when he didn't get any blood flow to his brain. So it was just first thing I thought about was really just, the players, their reaction and how some guys were tearing up. And I'm like, man, this must be something serious. Like, whoa. I mean, guys are, balling on the side and putting their hands up, and then everybody's praying on both sides of the ball really at an alarming rate. And I just like, this is something serious. And then they kept going to break, coming back, and really having nothing to tell us as far as information is regarding, the actual player Hamlin. So that was a little nerving in itself. And I think that's when Joe Buck kind of was thinking about, what was the next plan of action. They were thinking that, they're going to clean the field and move him off. And they're going to proceed to continue when something like that. I think the human element is there, and you don't have to play sports to actually understand it. So it's no different if somebody here at the office passed out and we had no idea what to do. Fortunately for him, he had the MTs and everybody there at his availability, quickly. But the trauma to not only him, his family, and the surrounding, teammates. I mean, just seeing that sometimes could take you to in a tailspin before. And I was trying to think of a time that I've seen that, and I've never really seen, a guy get injured besides myself in the Super Bowl, which I can't say I saw. But with Samari Rowe had somewhat a neck injury in training camp, and it paused the practice for a long period of time. And, they had to, get the board out and get him locked down and everything else for his neck and everything. And it was kind of traumatic at that time. Like, man, all we're worrying about is he going to be okay? And not getting the thumbs up from Hamlin, leaving the field was kind of nerving, not only for us watching on TV, I'm sure, let alone his family and everybody involved, naturally, the people that are close to him, but the fans. So I think that's when they realized that it was something really serious that they didn't know what to expect, as far as them hearing what could have happened to him. So I think that kind of put everybody in a tailspin of just what is going on and what happened, let alone no one has ever seen something like that, at least in my years of watching football, especially on Monday night when we know all viewers and everybody's watching across the world, whether you're a football fan or not, you still, it's on. So that was the scary part of not knowing. When the Samari Rowe incident, we knew he was going to be okay because, they told us, he talked to us while he was, going to the ambulance and everything else off the field. This occasion was not. So that's what made it super scary. I was really unnerved, really watching it to the point where I felt like there is no way this game is going to continue, and I wanted to turn the channel. To be honest, because I felt like there was nothing else to be said. That they said enough that they had to get CPR and everything else on the field, and that's just scary stuff. So I only thing else I can think of that's comparable is which is not is 9/11, where a lot of people had family in New York and then couldn't get in touch with them with the phone lines all messed up, and a lot of players didn't want to play. So I don't think this game will be played. I don't think how they handle it and how they figure out if it's a tie or just a pass game or just whatever. But I don't think the game's going to be played. That's not something really of debate to me. I know Troy Vincent, who I played with, EVP, said that they never had any conversations about to go to warm up and play again. So I think that was kind of just the standard protocol what people kind of went with. And they didn't say it a lot, but, I think Joe Buck is the one who said it initially. And I get it. That's why when you're on air, you just got to be careful. I don't think it was really any slip of the tongue or anything like that. I think that's just customary what people think, not knowing the severity of it. But, we just have our thoughts and prayers for him, his family, and his teammates. I mean, it was really traumatizing, really, to me. So I don't even know if that team could even play like the next week. I mean, it could affect or some players to a certain extent, depending on how close they were with him. And even other teams, by the way, yours truly, even the Titans, because you don't know how close they were to that player, let alone how it hit them in a certain way, no pun intended. I mean, in a way that kind of made them look at the game a little bit differently, which was an actual freak accident like that. I was stunned like that it happened. So, I've been playing ball since 6, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. So, man, I just want to pray for him that he recovers, and we have him with us, because that was, man, I don't know if the NFL would ever live that one down there, because that's if something dramatic happens to this guy, man, I'm just praying for it, because it just, wow, that was crazy in itself just to watch that. Man, I was stunned for words. I was listening to all the commentators. I thought they did an exceptional job considering Susan Colbert. I mean, everybody that was, involved, let alone back in the studio with Boog and Schefter and crew. It was something tough because it's something unplanned. You don't know what to do. And I thought in the situation that they handled it pretty well. I mean, for something unexpected like that. So, yeah, let's just continue to pray for him, and hopefully everything will be okay.
Yeah, again, no updates about the condition of Damar Hamlin at this point. Certainly, if any of that news breaks during the next couple of hours, we'll let you know if there's anything to it. It's interesting.
Well, typically, what his injury is we won't hear any news for 24 hours based off all the doctors that I've talked to, because he's sedated, he's in critical condition. They kind of want him to be chilled, make sure when they bring him back that they're trying to get his brain as functional as possible, hopefully, that everything works well. So we shall see. So I don't think we're going to hear any news really here in the next 24 hours based off what, the doctors said on TV and some guys that I've talked to that are professionals at it, because I'm definitely not, and I don't want to speculate on that. But hopefully sooner than later, as you're pointing out, but I don't know if we will. And I think that's the troubling part.
Yeah,
we don't hear any news.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, so everybody starts, wondering what's going on, and let alone the Twitterverse. Oh my!
You mentioned the thumbs up. That's the thing we all look for.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of shape somebody's in, if we can just get that thumbs up, it's like it flips the switch inside of us. Like, okay, thank goodness. And like you said, not getting that or anything, and not knowing anything. Oh man, that is.
Well, your mind one just goes. I mean, man, I can't even tell. It got to the point where I didn't want to watch anymore. I was like, they're coming back. It's been like 15 minutes. I just don't believe they're going to play this game. So I want to turn. I don't even want to hear the news, because I don't want to know where we're at right here with this situation. I don't think there was anything they could tell me make me feel any better at that point in time. Man, it was just wow. It was scary, no question about it. So. But I still think that the league, too, I know everybody is complaining that it took too long. I don't even know, you got the league officials that are there. They may have to get, the people up top on the phone. It may have took a minute to get them on the phone. Like they're sitting there, watching every single play and game at a moment that's up top. I mean, where you're talking about Goodell or Troy Vincent or whoever else makes those decisions. But I thought they did the right thing ultimately, and that's what it got to, and we shall see where they move forward. But ultimately, it's all about Hamlin and how he's doing, and let's keep our prayers, him in our prayers for sure, 24/7. I had a prayer for him myself numerous times, not only last night but this morning for sure. Man, whew.
Amen to that, Damar Hamlin. Whatever you got, good vibes, good prayers, good thoughts, whatever you believe in, send it all his way, because he could use it. Mike Vrabel discussed how the Titans are processing this. He spoke just a few minutes ago. Let's hear from the Titans head coach next right here on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, talking about Damar Hamlin, the Bills' safety in critical condition after suffering cardiac arrest last night on Monday Night Football in front of the whole sports world. And we're keeping that young man in our thoughts and prayers and his family, and just hoping and praying for the absolute best. Mike Vrabel addressed the media today, and certainly he was asked about a lot of Titans stuff, but the early part of the press conference was all about how the Titans are processing what is going on now with the young man, Damar Hamlin, and how they are dealing with this inside their locker room.
We shared, some great conversations. Had an opportunity to, discuss this, how everybody's feeling. I think guys are, they understand, the severity, of this. They understand the game and what we love, and sometimes things that you love the most and that can give you the most can also take the most away. But there were some really, really cool comments that our players shared with each other and with me and everybody else. So I think that they are doing their best to support former teammates who are in Buffalo, but also understand that we have a great opportunity to continue to do what we love to do. And one of our leaders said, and this is someone that knew Damar or knows Damar, is that they're grateful. They're reminded that they're grateful that they get to do this. And I thought that was really special to hear some of those guys talk.
It's Mike Vrabel earlier today. Blaine Nick in the Zone TV chat says, I wonder if the Bills can even play their Week 18 game.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, that was traumatic. And not even just the Bills, even T. Higgins, who's from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just the part of being a part of that play could have affected him and even other players that were there who saw it, live and in action. So, everybody is kind of built differently, and some can handle and block it out and move forward at some point in time, and others is just like, I need to talk to somebody, and it's understandable. So this is a traumatic event, not just to the actual player, his family, and all his teammates, but even people who weren't involved, even people who weren't there, let alone, let's not forget, there's someone who every day that's having issues, outside of playing sports, with heart conditions all over the place. So let's make sure that we don't be remiss to miss out on, just because these guys are on TV, they're no different than everybody else in society. So it just brings light to it because they are on TV. But let's make sure we pray for all those who need those prayers from the bottom of my heart to their heart, with anybody having heart conditions. Yeah, wow, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that, and then to see what happened to him, it's stunning. Really, it's still unbelievable to this today. Going just 24 hours as far as what happened. I'm stunned that happened. I had no idea what was going on.
You mentioned this, and we were talking in the break, and I had a doctor tell me this once. And it's an interesting take. Again, you said this to me. If you're going to have a problem like that, if you're going to have a heart problem, the worst place to have it is if you're hiking in the woods by yourself or home in your bed or home by yourself. He had it where there were immediately 2 full medical staffs that descended on him to try to render him aid. I had a doctor tell me that once. We were talking about somebody getting injured, or my wife actually worked for a long time for a hospital in Arkansas when we lived back there. And as part of what they did every year for the community, they gave every kid who played sports in the whole county a heart evaluation, an EKG. That was free. It was worth hundreds of dollars, but they did it for every kid who played sports. They took a weekend and did it for every kid. You went and lined up and you went and got and they caught kids who had conditions that they could have died playing sports or exerting themselves.
Wow.
More than one, including, one of my friends that I went to college with, her daughter, they caught it in her.
Mm.
And she was a big athlete, could have died. And she worked for the hospital that caught it. So there are just all these things. And I was talking to some of the doctors, and they said, I'm so glad that we're catching this. But in a college or a pro football game, you have so many trained professionals who would be right there that if you're going to have a problem, that oddly enough, that would be the place to do it because they will immediately help you. But, man, that took me back to that last night. And there were several people, again, who I knew or I knew their kids. And I knew this young lady, actually, she had twins. They both had some version of it, one worse than the other. And they were both like A-plus young athletes. And one's going to be a doctor now. And the other one's a nurse. So pretty amazing kids they've grown up to be. But, I thought about Damar Hamlin's family, again, and them rushing to go down there because they're like all of us. You give us a thumbs up. Just give us some idea that you're okay. And not getting that and still not having it is just wreaking havoc, I think, with a lot of people's emotions right now.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. I think we're all kind of spun upside down here just because of not knowing the situation and understanding none of us being doctors and what could possibly happen to him at this point in time with the unknown. So that's always tough to deal with, let alone, his family and everybody that was involved that was close to him, even at the game. So this is a tough one. One I think the NFL has never dealt with, at least in modern time over the last 30 years or so. So this is big, as big as it can get. So hopefully, let's continue to pray for him and everything works out for the best for the Hamlin family.
Absolutely. Kevin Byard also spoke today about his experience with this and how he's processing this. I mean, a leader for the Titans in the locker room, and this is what he said about Damar Hamlin.
I don't think it's about anything, handling anything. I think that we all, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. I just dealt with that this offseason. My mom, she went under cardiac arrest. And so I understand the seriousness and, the critical condition that he's in. And I pray that the fact that the medical staff was actually in the ambulance was already at the stadium, will help save this man's life. I think this is bigger than football. This is about a young man fighting for his life. So definitely my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. And we, obviously we addressed it as a team and, guys kind of, spoke how they thought about it and everything. It's just a crazy situation. Something I've never seen playing football, especially in the NFL. It's just crazy.
Coach Vrabel said he was in awe of how the Bengals and Bills really kind of supported each other through that time.
Yeah, because like I said, this is bigger than football. Like nobody, they would have had to cancel the game because I don't think anybody seeing that and watching somebody getting performed CPR on the field and then having to play football again. People were very emotional because, like you said, if that could have been somebody in our locker room. That could have been one of our brothers in the locker room. And I know that I would have felt, similar as far as being emotional. So, like I said, it's just a serious time right now. It's just for me, especially last night, was a deep moment of reflection, about, you just never know what can happen on when it may be your time or anything like that. So I just texted people that I loved and just told them I love them and things like that.
That was Kevin Byard. Blaine weighing in on it. Bobby tweeted me, and he said, don't forget about first responders. He's talking about me seeing all these people who were there and they're responding to this. He said, the people who respond to it, they see things like this every day. And when this happens, they immediately have to just go answer the next call, try to save the next person. So, while we think about him, all these people who are out there trying to save lives and who are responding to these calls, Bobby and all the people like him, we appreciate you. Appreciate what you do, for sure. The one thing that came to mind to me, and Lucas, you're too young to remember this guy. He wasn't alive since you've been alive, but this was a thing that played out. And the game was, I think the game was maybe on the early version of ESPN2. It's a guy named Hank Gathers who played basketball for Loyola Marymount. And I was in college, Blaine, when this happened, and you were a little bit behind me. You may have been in high school still when this happened to Hank, but he was like the leading scorer and rebounder in the nation, and he collapsed on the court during the game. He was having some issues.
So that was in the 80s, right?
It was in the early 90s.
Early 90s?
Early 90s, 90 or 91 maybe, maybe 92 at the latest. They had a fantastic basketball team, and Paul West had coached the team, who'd been the coach of the Lakers when Magic got there. So it had been a while, but anyway, he had landed there, and they had this basically, think Tennessee football's offense.
1990.
They did this in basketball, where they just fast breaked and they'd shoot threes, and they were fascinating to watch. But he was the best player in the nation. He was playing at a smaller school, but he collapsed during a game, and it was something that people saw, and kind of he was taken off, and nobody knew what happened. But honestly, my mind went back to that, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I was actually sitting. They were must-see TV. I think I was actually watching that game with friends of mine, sitting, in the fraternity house when this happened to him. But Hank Gathers is the guy that I actually thought about. It's the only thing I could even process that was remotely close to this in my mind was Hank. That was it.
It happened.
Wasn't Reggie Lewis for the Celtics? Was that something similar or no? Or I'm getting that confused. You remember that? You remember Reggie?
No, I remember Reggie Lewis.
No, I was thinking of something else. I believe there was a 30 for 30 on Hank, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, I do somewhat remember. Yeah, Hank, that was because didn't they do a tribute and he was left-handed and they shot a left-hand free throw for him?
He was left-handed, and his teammate Bo Kimball.
Mm-hmm.
The team actually rallied and made a nice run through the postseason into the NCAA tournament, and Bo Kimball shot his first free throw of every game left-handed, and he was right-handed in honor of Hank Gathers.
Now, Hank, passed away, right?
He did.
Obviously, that had a horribly tragic ending. I think about just 2 years ago, Christian Eriksen, a Danish midfielder for the Denmark national team in Euro 2020. It was in 2021, but it was Euro 2020. In a group stage game against Finland in the 42nd minute, just collapsed. Wasn't a collision or anything like that. He just straight up collapsed, went into cardiac arrest, started having CPR administered, defibrillators. Just like yesterday, the difference was they got Eriksen to a local hospital, and within a couple of hours, he was in stable condition.
Wow.
So that's kind of the two sides of it, right? With Hank Gathers, obviously ended tragically, and then with Christian Eriksen in a similar situation, he was stable within a couple of hours. And even then, there was a lot of discourse about, do you play this game? And the governing body of European soccer, UEFA, told Denmark and Finland, you have three options. Either you play this game today, you play this game tomorrow, or you forfeit the game. But that was knowing he was stable.
Yeah.
And they played the game the following day. Finland won 1-0. In Denmark, the players were still very visibly shaken. Even knowing their teammate was in stable condition and he was okay, and he was sending them video messages and all good, and he's still playing today. His career's still going. Wow. He came back. He played in the World Cup last month. So,
goodness.
And then Denmark was able to compose themselves and go on to the semifinals of that tournament. But that's just kind of the two extremes of it.
Blaine, Reggie Lewis.
Yeah, I mentioned Reggie Lewis. What year was that?
1993. He was practicing and had sudden cardiac arrest on the court. He was 27 years old.
That's what I mean. Because that was when I was coming out of college.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's another one. Rip Ryan just walked in the studio and sat down. We're still just trying to process all that we've seen and heard, and like a lot of people.
Well, you guys are doing a really nice job, as I've listened on my way back from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. And I'll tell you this, guys, you were thought-provoking for me because I just came from the locker room, a locker room like I believe much of the league has today, much more subdued, quieter talk, not as much music playing, not as lively as you would think, and certainly not as lively as a team that is going to go try to win a division crown for the third time in 5 more days. I'll tell you this. We talked to Rashad Weaver, who agreed to speak.
His college teammate for people who don't know.
That's right. Today I saw not big number 99 that goes after the quarterback, but I saw Rashad Weaver, the person. Yeah. And he thought he could make it through. He made it through a couple of questions. But that's a guy that we need to add to our prayers. He's okay, and he tells me he's okay and reassures me, but guys like him, not just – I mean, this is a ripple effect throughout not only the NFL, but the sports world and life in general.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen the outpouring.
It's bigger than sports, yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. But that is someone who needs our thoughts and prayers for sure, in addition to all of Damar Hamlin's family and all those guys there last night on both teams. And, you know, I think the other part of this is the NFL is going to have to look at their protocols and procedures for things like this when something like this happens, and heaven forbid it happen again. They've had plans in place for a long time for major catastrophic events, you know, like after the Marshall airline crash in 1970. They have plans for mass problems like that, but I think they are probably going to be looking closer at something like this in an emergency. And listen, it seemed like an eternity before they called that game, but really and truly it was, an hour? Yeah. And to your point, Blaine, getting in touch with Roger Goodell, talking to Troy Vincent, all the parties involved to make that decision actually was pretty fast when you think about it. Because when you're in their shoes, I mean, it probably went by like 5 minutes.
Right. When they're also trying to gather the information
right
on the field, on the ground, so they have to depend on other people to give them the information.
100%. But just to see all those faces in that crowd last night and what was going to be one of the best Monday Night Football games of the year and the implications that it involved there, and to see it turn to that, it's a not so gentle reminder, the balance of life.
What do you, I mean, how do you, I know we're moving forward a little bit, but how do you think it's affecting the Bills, and let alone all the teams around the National Football League that have no attachment to Hamlin, let's just say, as far as like connection with him as a teammate or knowing him personally? What's the vibe you think going around the league as far as players? Like some players may not even want to play. Only thing I could relate to was a 9/11. That's not the same, but where people were
but
all
there was a
flux.
huge moment.
But where everybody was like,
that
which
changed.
was different, which is a national deal, not, just in a game where guys didn't want to play and some guys did.
Yeah. And I think it's as individual an opinion as the guy next to you on each side of you in your locker room. You may be different and have a different opinion, and vice versa. But if that locker room today was what I imagined the whole league was like today. I think that may change if we do get some sign of a thumbs up like what we were looking for last night. Yeah. Because that's the one thing Rashad Weaver said to me is, I just want him to be okay, and I feel like I'm in limbo until we hear otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And what I can say is just you don't feel closure on that everything is going to be fine. Now, right now, everybody's up in limbo, and that's what makes all the nervous and emotional reactions. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
He's not out of the woods by a long shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so closure. The thumbs up is closure, and we haven't gotten it yet.
That's exactly right.
Well, we'll continue just to wait and monitor and watch the situation, as will every show on the station here, and keep people up to date with it. I know we got some phone callers who want to call and check in. Red, if you want to stick around, you can do it.
Sure.
We'll continue the show after this. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Some people want to weigh in on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We mentioned Hank Gathers as just something that those of us who are old enough to remember, just trying to tie anything to this that we've seen anything like it. And
Philly, as well as Reggie Lewis.
Reggie Lewis, who Blaine brought up, who
93.
Was at the top of his game and 27 years old, a Celtics player who collapsed during practice with a heart issue. Philly Mike wanted to weigh in on the great Hank Gathers. Philly Mike, thank you for calling.
Hey, guys. Thank you very much, man. Happy New Year to both you guys. Always enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Mickey, you were right on target, brother. 2 weeks before Hank passed away, he did have an episode during the game where he collapsed, but he was able to, be revived, and they walked him off the court. And I think they didn't play for like a week. And then 2 weeks later is when it happened again, right at half court. You saw him stop at half court, and he leaned a little bit to his right and fell, and that's when he collapsed and died. And in the March Madness, Hank Gathers, Kimbo, shot the foul shot left-handed. Those guys played together in Philly in high school and then went to Loyola Marymount to play college ball. So I think the opportunity for the NFL, I'm thinking that the NFL Players Association, the owners, and Roger Goodell, hopefully this will bring them closer in terms of working together. Because the players, if there's any sport in the world, the NFL players need more guaranteed money. They need more benefits. They need more pension. And Blaine, I think you can, follow up on this, but the players deserve more than what they're getting right now. And this is a chance for, I don't know who the head of the Player Association is, but here's a chance for them. Next time they negotiate, the players need to get more. And that's my recommendation. What do you guys think, man? Thanks.
Thank you, Philly Mike.
Yeah, that was a freak accident. But as far as regards to, the Players Association, I've always been an advocate of getting guaranteed contracts. I don't know what he meant by more. Is he talking about more money or more benefits and protection? I would say more so to me at this point in time. And to me, it's starting to ease in that direction with the quarterbacks slowly but surely, but not going at the rate that it should be. And I know everybody, talks about, you understand the risk and, you make millions of dollars. I must forewarn people, you have to be in the league at least a little bit now to be vested in making millions of dollars. I know the gentleman that's, injured and hurt and in the hospital right now, Hamlin, I think he was a 6th-round pick. I don't even know if he's made $1 million to this point in his career. So everybody is not, even when I was growing up, I thought everybody was making tons of millions of dollars. That's not the case, especially if you're a young player and not a high draft pick or undrafted. So there are risks involved in maybe getting guaranteed contracts to a certain extent, at least if you're drafted players. Maybe this will be part of the conversation, because not only is he, he's going to change his life, his family, and everybody involved around him.
He's a second-year player, Hamlin.
Yeah, he's a second-year player, went 6th round, I think.
Yep.
At a pick, yeah. So what do 6th-rounders usually get there as a signing bonus?
It ain't a lot. I mean, and then whatever their base salary, I mean, he might have made $1 million at this point, being not this far through his second season before taxes. But, I mean, it's no.
I mean, for anybody typically beyond even a second-round pick, I would think you just get a bonus of X amount of 100,000, however that might be, and then you just make league minimum salaries till the end of your, till the end of your contract. And like you said, Blaine, everybody thinks, that guy's drafted NFL 6th-round pick. He's going to make $10 million. No.
Second contract.
Second contract.
You're a higher top two or 3-round guy.
Base salary this year about $800,000.
Okay.
Base salary is $800?
$825.
In his second year?
Yeah, first year was $660.
Yeah, $660. Okay, $660 first year. Yeah, so he's hitting close to maybe $1.5 million after taxes.
Pay his agent, pay everybody else.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I found it interesting last night, and I saw Don Van Natta had put this out about the rule book in terms of, I spoke with you guys in the last segment about I think there needs to be a resculpting of protocol and procedure for something like this. And as I'm reading this, it's more about what would be considered force majeure, or a God life-changing event or whatever, non-related to a player, more like weather and things. So it says the NFL affirms the position that in most circumstances all regular season and postseason games should be played to their conclusion. If, in the opinion of the appropriate league authorities, it is impossible to begin or continue a game due to an emergency, or a game is deemed to be imminently threatened by any such emergency, and it says, in parentheses, severely inclement weather, lightning, flooding, power failure, the following procedures will serve as guidelines for the commissioner and or the duly appointed representatives. The commissioner has the authority to review the circumstances of each emergency and adjust to the following procedures in whatever the manner the commissioner deems appropriate. If, in the commissioner's opinion, it is reasonable to project that resumption of an interrupted game would not change its ultimate result or adversely affect any other inter-team competitive issue, the commissioner is empowered to terminate the game. But again, that's talking about tornado or lightning or a flood, or that's not talking
Which
about
can be played the next day.
Right. We're talking about something totally different, but is life-threatening even more maybe than those things that were mentioned in there that had to do with weather elements.
Maybe
So I think they'll
addendum may be changed in there. Is what you're talking about.
I think the language needs to be looked over in that, in my opinion, as I'm thinking about this, because they have some things in place for catastrophic things, but I don't think they had. I mean, you heard what I read there. It didn't have anything to do with life or limb.
That's the next step, and they're usually prepared for everything the NFL, that is, even in CBA. And in this case, I don't think there was any protocol really they could refer to that they've done to before.
It just hadn't happened very often in the NFL. And so this is going to look more like a reactive than a proactive thing. But for obviously Damar Hamlin's safety and his health going forward is paramount right now. But I think that's one of the things that where this will pay dividends going forward for players currently in and future, for a change in protocol and procedure to things like this, which is unprecedented, right? There will be good things come out of this. Just the outpouring of money to the GoFundMe for his foundation is just amazing what people have done there. There are blessings and good things that come out of this. And now if we can just get our thumbs up from him, we'll be good.
We'll be good.
That's what we're all waiting on for sure. Rep Ryan, thanks for stopping by.
Glad to do it, boys. I
Appreciate
just
it.
wish it was under better circumstances, and we'll chat again because there's a big game this weekend, and right now it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do to talk about it.
Well, you got Mac Talk tonight, though, correct?
We do have Mac Talk. It is the season finale of Mac Talk. And so I'm sure folks will want to talk to Coach Mack about Damar Hamlin and what happened last night, and we certainly are open to that. And we will try to talk about some other things pertinent to Week 18 in the league and all the topics we kind of cover, and certainly Jacksonville as an opponent. But, Damar Hamlin is top of mind.
Sure is. Rep Ryan, thank you for your perspective.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back hour number 2 of the Blaine and Mickey Show. We'll continue, John and Wilson. If you want to hold on to Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, we will get to you in segment 1 of the next hour. Be right back. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome into hour number 2 of the program. Appreciate everybody who is listening today and hanging out with us and the phone calls. Rhett Bryan jumped on with us earlier. Certainly a big focus of the show today, and the main focus of the show today has been Bills defensive back Damar Hamlin. Went down on the field last night with the cardiac issue, was given CPR, taken off in an ambulance. The Bills have released a statement. His family has released a statement. The NFL has said that game will not be resumed this week, nor do they have a time yet that it would be resumed between the Bills and the Bengals. There's nothing new on his health. It's basically the same thing, Blaine, that it was last night. The news that we got that he was alive, that he was in the hospital, that he was sedated and had a breathing tube, and that was basically the last thing that we found out, and there hasn't been any more information. I know you reached out to some doctor friends, and you reached out to some different people, and their thing that they told you was it may be 24 hours or so before we have any news on this.
Yeah, because they're going to do some tests and everything else, and I'm not going to play like I'm a doctor or anything else. But, some of the people on chat here has, the same information we have, as well as they saw probably on social media. I don't want to mispronounce it. I'm not a doctor. I know it's carditis, but what's the commotio there with Jen Neal? It's a disruption of heart rhythm that occurs as a result of a blow to the area directly over the heart at a critical time during the cycle of the heartbeat. That's exactly what happened. So that's where we at, and really no update is besides what you just said. So. You just got to continue to pray and hope for the best, and that he fights through it all. So with a lot of people, at least donating with their money, and kind of helped his foundation out tremendously from 25,000 to I think over close to $4 million or so. So there's a lot of thoughts and prayers for the Hamlin and the Hamlin family, as well as everybody involved. So man, what a crazy deal, but hopefully we get the thumbs up at some point in time. We're hoping and praying that happens. That way we'll have a little bit of closure that he will be okay. So until that happens, I think everybody's going to be in an emotional roller coaster ride up and down, let alone the people who are close to him, Hamlin and the family and the players and his teammates and former teammates and people who all know him closely. Yeah, just nothing like this has ever, we've ever seen, at least in the NFL game. We were talking about Hank Gathers and Reggie Lewis at practice, but this is, I can't recall, we were talking to Red. He was maybe a coach maybe years ago, had a heart attack maybe, but he had heart conditions. They're on the sideline, but nothing like this in live and on a Monday night where all eyeballs are watching. So brings to light, hey, make sure you go get checked and get your heart checked and make sure everything's working appropriately.
Man, absolutely. Mark
It's burned in my chest to the point where I'm sure a lot of people didn't get a lot of sleep. I didn't, but man, it burned in my chest. It made me feel like, dang, man, I'm nervous for the family and everybody involved. It burned me that much where I couldn't even sleep. So man, I can't imagine the impact it's had on people who are close to him or close to the whole situation. And I thought that, broadcast did a great job considering, in the moment type broadcasting, which is really tough.
And when you don't have any information.
Yeah,
no
information.
You're left with no information. So all you can talk about is personal experience and how you're feeling. But yeah, the ESPN crew on site and Boog and Susie and Schefter, as you said earlier, and then it went to Scott Van Pelt, and Ryan Clark came in and just did an exceptional job, as he always does. He's one of the best in the business, an SVP, and he just had great perspective on things. So from our business, it's hard because it's our job to have words for situations, and when you don't know what's going on in the situation, it's hard to have words like today sometimes. But we know some of you guys want to weigh in too. Wilson in East Nashville has been kind enough to hold through the break, so let's get to Wilson. You want to join the discussion, 615-737-1045. Wilson, thanks for calling.
Well, I don't know if anyone else saw this, but last night all the news channels were covering it. It was all over MSNBC, Fox, CNN.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And I was watching CNN, and I don't know if anybody's brought this up, they had one of their doctors that they've been talking to over these many months about COVID and everything, and he's also a pulmonary specialist, and he described, I can't remember the medical term, but essentially what happens is there's a split second between a bump, 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 bump. A split second between all those complex movements the different part of your heart's making, that if you get a solid shot right to the sternum, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a fraction of a second, 2 or 3/10 of a second maybe, if it's that long. But if the timing was just that wrong, that might be what this is.
Well, Wilson, that's a great point. Blaine just pointed this out. Jen Neal in the Zone TV chat said the exact same thing, and it's COMMOTIO. Maybe that's commotio or commotio cordis. It says Latin for agitation of the heart. It says an often lethal disruption of the heart rhythm that occurs as a result of a blow to the area directly over the heart at a critical time during the cycle of the heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And it's Blaine, a doctor or a trainer, somebody last night, everybody was, people who have some medical knowledge or lots of medical knowledge were trying to say, well, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. And somebody had tweeted out a graphic, and it was like a batter getting hit in the heart with a baseball, and it was like a football player getting hit in the sternum. But it showed different ways just possibly this could even happen. But, this particular play, T. Higgins is a huge human, and he was charging at Hamlin, and I think people thought maybe his arms kind of came up, but he got hit maybe below the he just got hit.
Shoulder pad to protect him, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of, again, there's been 101 now years of the NFL. There's one player who died in a game, but he had an underlying heart condition, and I read all about it last night. This guy, Chuck Hughes, who died in 1980 or 1971, and he essentially just had a heart attack and died on the field. He was jogging to the huddle and died on the field, but nothing like this where a hit caused something like this commotio cordis. Mm-hmm. Just never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and that's what, now everybody probably knows what that is, but no idea what was, that going into it. So I never even heard of it. So, I was listening to Dr. Chow last night on his video talking about it. And, most doctors in the industry in that realm of heart know a lot about it. And that wasn't his expertise, but he had been around it so much that he could talk about it. And I think most doctors who are in that realm of heart conditions understood exactly what it was, and it's one in a million that you get hit just perfectly at the right time.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, T. Higgins really tried to just bowl him over and went head into him. I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was just a good tackle and everything else, and then he stands up and then passes out. That was just horrific. I had never seen anything like that, and he wasn't getting any blood flow to his brain. So that's kind of what I'm understanding that happened, and so they just try to make sure they gave him CPR and bring him back, and he needs all the prayers he can get, man, at this point in time, and his family too. And the players around it, because every player is different. Somebody asked me, had I ever cried at a game or at a loss or anything, just at any point in time, was there ever? I said, I can't recall. I said, naturally, I prayed for, some of my teammates and other players throughout the league when it was a tough injury, but nothing to this level. Mm-hmm. To see, guys actually, tearing up on the field there to break down. So, I said nothing has ever taken, even losing a Super Bowl, which is nowhere near comparable at all. We're talking about someone's life or death here. So, this is one of a kind. This was one that they're going to rehash in their minds in the NFL and see if they can do things to help in the protocols, as Rhett was on here talking about a little bit, maybe in the CBA to kind of address some of it. I think a lot of people, when we're talking about, the referees and people that were there don't really have the power to call a game.
Right.
So they had to get in touch with the person to say, hey, man, this is where we're at emotionally. We can't continue playing this game after watching one of our players, basically pass out on the field. So, what can we do to, move forward and not finish this game today? And ultimately, the decision is we can't play today. Got to look at all those other things moving forward, and if we ever could play this game. And but that's really a moot point when we're talking about somebody's health. Yeah, they made the right call. I know, Twitter is fast moving, so everybody thought things should be done immediately.
Right.
But I thought they handled everything in the right manner, and Troy Vincent came out and did a conference call that, last night and told everyone that there was never any policy or procedure about, warming up, in 5 minutes after he was off the field or anything like that. So, that would be a little insensitive, I would say, to the whole situation, which is a grave situation and one that really they haven't dealt with and we haven't seen before from a fan's point of view. So let's just continue for his prayers and him and his family, and then we're hoping for the best. That's for sure, man. Ooh.
Amen. Dave McGinnis, Coach Mack from Titans Radio, our Titans Radio head coach, will join us next. We'll talk to him. Certainly, he's got decades and decades of NFL experience. We'll get Coach Mack's thoughts on everything that we've seen, and also we'll look ahead to the game. The Titans have got a game Saturday night in Jacksonville to finish off the season. We will discuss that and more next with Coach Dave McGinnis right here on Blaine and Mickey. Blade and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Spending this Tuesday with you. Time for Coach Mack to join us for his weekly visit. Coach Dave McGinnis, our coach of Titans Radio. Got Mack Talk coming up later tonight. But, Coach Mack, it's been a pretty somber day. We love our football, and, man, we celebrate football. And Monday night, the whole world watches. But Damar Hamlin certainly has the attention of everybody who loves football and really the whole country and the whole world right now. And we're hoping and praying for the best for him, and I'm sure you're doing the same.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Damar Hamlin, he's what's most important right now. He and his family, and I thought that the NFL reacted exactly right. I know a lot of coaches on both of those staffs. I know both head coaches very well. I thought they handled it, in those type of circumstances as well as they could. But it was truly a traumatic event, and it just makes you pause and just realize what's really important. And what's really important is everybody's not only health, but just the whole thing that encompasses. We all know what we sign up for in this league, but when something like that happens, it just brings it back to reality. I mean, what's really, really important is that everybody, after they play a game that they love, that they've been, working their whole life to play to get to this level, that everybody can go home safely to their families after the game, regardless of the outcome of the game.
Well, Coach, I wanted to ask you more so, we're on with Coach Mack giving us the Mack Attack. Has there been a game, regardless of what the stoppage was, where the game was delayed, let's say an hour, and then you resumed, and what was that occasion, if that ever happened to you in the coaching industry?
Well, I mean, yeah, it happened to me, of course, in the coaching industry. I mean, we're talking about, for injury-wise, right? We're not talking about weather-related. That's
right, yes, all injuries.
Whole different world. But, yeah, I mean, October 30th, 1971, my junior year at TCU, we were playing at Waco, and our new head coach, Jim Pittman, who was 46 years old, we had just come off the field from defense, and I was standing, probably 25 feet away from he and the offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden he just, he said Russell, who was Russell Coffey, the offensive coordinator, and just went down with a massive heart attack right there on the sideline. And it just brought back those memories of the ambulance on the field and the EMTs. And, it was, those things came back, just immediately flooded back to me with my memories. It was a very traumatic thing, of course, as a 19-year-old to witness that, especially, when that's the last thing you were thinking of during the ball game.
Man, we're on with Coach Mack giving us a Mack Attack. I was interested, do you recall a game in 1997, Jets versus the Lions, and Reggie Brown had like a neck injury and the game was delayed a couple hours? I can't recall it, but Neil O'Donnell naturally texted me and said there was a time where they even resumed play after that and not sure, what was going on with their teammate. So there's been some games, I'm sure random players could probably come up with some times, especially if they played for a long period of time, where there was times where didn't know what to do in different time, different era, naturally, and more informed now, and probably better protocols in place. But I know you were part of, or I think you were the head coach or assistant head coach when Tillman was there. How did you guys deal with, him not coming back to the team? I know different circumstances didn't happen in game, but kind of how McDermott and Zach Taylor are kind of, handling their players to a certain extent who are closer to the event than any other players.
Yeah, well, the whole Pat Tillman thing was, that again, was very traumatic. It was my first year back here with the Titans. It was during the draft time. And so, yeah, any of those things that affect, I was at practice today, talking with Tim Shaw. Any of those things that affect your players, because, 37 years in the league, I've formed a lot of close relationships with a lot of players, a lot of coaches. And, even as competitive as this league is, between teams, between players, between coaches, I mean, we're all extreme competitors. That's how everybody got to this level. It's still, people's health and people's lives take precedence over anything and everything, as well it should be.
Yeah, there's no playbook for how to address a situation like this. So I thought they did the NFL did a pretty solid job, and even all the broadcasters and everybody involved around the situation.
Yeah, I did too. I do too, Blaine. And I'll reach out. I'll reach out to both of those coaches, and I'll also reach out to, because I know them both, and also staff members on both of those teams. But in due time, because it's a major shock to everybody. And I was you knew that there's not any way possible that game was going to resume, and rightfully so.
There you have it, Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Better rates, better coverage, better service. That's why Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau health plans for their health coverage for 75 years. They bring you the Mack attack from Coach Mack every week. We were talking, Coach Mack, the NFL made the decision that they wouldn't resume this game this week, or they haven't made any plans on when they might or might not resume the game. But the interesting thing is, for both of these teams, the Bengals and certainly for the Bills, they do have a scheduled game on Sunday. I can't imagine being a coach, being a head coach, being on staff, being a player, that is on the schedule. That's the next thing for these things. And to be a professional athlete, you have to have amazing focus and just the amazing ability to turn the page from one thing to the next. But what a monumental task for those guys to get ready to play again this week, even putting what they've seen behind them in the rearview mirror.
Well, I mean, they'll never put it behind them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's something that they will, it will always be in the front of their minds. I mean, we think about the Ryan Shazier incident, just recently, that we had for the season. I mean, look, it's this game, as I said, it's a great game, but sometimes some of the things that happen. And look, that's what you have to do, but you can't. Look, you can be a professional, and also I'm talking about the organization and the league. You can be professional, but you have to be human. You have to be human and understand the human sensibilities of all of this. So they will figure out a way, to make it work. But they will never ever put it behind them. I promise you that.
Let's look forward to the game on Saturday night, Coach. The Titans and the Jags are going to play, and the winner wins the AFC South. Mike Vrabel has said that Josh Dobbs is going to start at quarterback. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about what we're going to see Saturday night. But let's also talk about this. What did you see from Dobbs in his first career start last week for these Titans, and what can you look forward to maybe improvement-wise for his second game?
Well, just 8 days. I mean, he seemed very composed, seemed to be very, very in charge. Even though he has not had any starting assignments, he's been in the league for 6 years, and being in the league for 6 years is a big deal, because he's been in some really good quarterback meeting rooms. He's been through, he understands what it is professionally. So he's, as a backup, he's prepared like he was going to be the starter, for 6 years. And so I thought he was very composed. And I mean, he had a couple of decisions that he made. One time whether to run it or not. One time whether to throw it. But that comes up with everybody, in the course of a game. But I thought overall, I mean, he acquitted himself very well. He is going to be the starting quarterback again, and I think that the energy behind him will be very, very good. But this guy, I don't know him very well. I know a lot of people that know him, because I know a lot of people that have very deep Vols contacts, and said he's extremely smart, he's extremely bright, and coming with that, he's extremely focused, but he's composed. He's very poised. And so this is a playoff game. It's a playoff game. And and Mike Vrabel said it, he gives this team the best chance from that position to be able to win this game. And so that's the way everybody's approaching it. It's a playoff game.
Coach Dave McGinnis, our guest, as always, in the Tuesday 2 o'clock hour, giving us the Mac Attack.
Well, Coach, I guess kind of give us, I know it's a little, after the fact, but the thought process of as a coach to becoming like a business and resting some players that had, some, nicks and bruises and maybe some injuries that they probably needed to rest on that they would have played through, even though the game wasn't, a game that they had to win. You just kind of wanted some new momentum. Kind of take us through the thought process when you're a head coach, when you're kind of making those decisions in today's NFL compared to in the past.
Well, Blaine, first of all, the unusual circumstances this team has found itself in. Out of the 53 that they had available last week to make a decision who was going to be active, I mean, they only had 47 active because they didn't have enough to make it 48. But the fact out of that 53 that were available, this is the position they're in personnel-wise. 22 of those players that were available to them for the 53 either started the season on the practice squad here or someplace else or came from off the street. So that puts it into perspective. The fact that they have 34 guys on the injured reserve list, I mean, so you're dealing with some real extenuating different circumstances as a head coach trying to decide not only who you're going to be able to put out there for the game that we played last week, but looking forward to this week, what is going to give you the best chance, because a lot of those players that did not play in that game have been playing not completely healthy. And really some of them to the point as to where they have just knowing how many of their comrades were down around them were saying, I've got to play. Well, they didn't have to last week. So you would hope that would help a little bit. What's going to matter, though, is how they play, right? What's going to matter? Anything that matters now is how they prepare this week and then how they play on Saturday night. But as a coach, when you're faced, I had those extenuating circumstances when I was the head coach at Arizona, where the roster was so bare that you have to try to make decisions and have to try to think ahead of what you're getting ready to face. And I thought that Mike Vrabel and his staff did an admirable job as well as they could. And plus, the players that did not play, hopefully they can come back now and be in a little better shape health-wise than they would have been if they would have gone through the grind of a game.
Well, give us your analysis, Coach, then of the Jaguars and what the Titans have to do to win the game.
Well, the Jaguars, to me, are one of the hottest teams in the league because, first of all, they're one of the healthiest, number one. Oh. I mean, it's documented. They've lost, fewer time to injury than anybody in the league, which is, God bless them. The other thing is it's just the way this league works. They've been so bad for so long that they've been drafting every round in the top 5 of the draft. Yep. And so you've got a pretty good chance, first of all, not to miss there when you've got that many of those picks for that many years at that high. And second of all, they drafted a franchise quarterback who did not have a rookie season just because of the ineptitude around him from the coaching staff and from what was going on with the organization. Now you've got those players around him. They brought 5 new players in to supplement what they've had there that have been major contributors, especially on the offensive side of the football. And the quarterback now is playing like I think most of us that vetted him coming out of Clemson, as a franchise quarterback. He's athletic. He's accurate. He's a great competitor. And so what the Titans have to be able to do, the last time they played this football team, the Titans turned it over 4 times. Yeah. You turn it over 4 times, regardless of the ability of your opponent, you lessen your chances to win. So the first thing is protect the football. The second thing is be able somehow to affect the quarterback, so that he doesn't get free access and he doesn't have a lot of time to find the people that he wants to throw to. He made some moves up plays on the run. He ran for a touchdown. He got outside. So all of those things you're going to have to clean up. Evan Ingram, had a career day. The tight end did. So you're going to have a plan for him. So but the thing that has to happen is last time that the Titans played the Jaguars, they gave them way too many chances at them with 4 turnovers. You give them way too many chances. The Titans had no momentum in that game at one time and really gave it back to them by giving them the football. That has to be eliminated now, regardless of what happens.
One more last question. That is, not sure if Long will go, Junior. So what is your thoughts on what Monty Rice and Dr. Gibby did out there? I thought they played, being young players, play fairly solid. Naturally, they could play better, but I think they can hold the fort if need be.
Well, they did. I mean, and they, you're talking about two linebackers that basically were your backup guys, to begin with. And Dr. Gibby, again, is another one of those guys that came in and, and so they got their chance. Monty Rice has been hurt all year. Finally get a chance to come back. I thought both of them, Blaine, to your point, acquitted themselves very well. First of all, Dr. Gibby's wearing the green dot, so he's orchestrating things. And then especially in the run game, I thought they afforded themselves very well. I love linebacker play, and then watching them, and I said it on the broadcast, they're doing a great job keying and diagnosing, getting ahead of pullers, being able to fill the lanes, get downhill, be decisive. So I thought just from a technical aspect of it, they did a really, really nice job in tandem playing behind the ball, and at least they were very, very solid against the run game, which really was no factor, for the Cowboys. So if I were grading linebackers, and if they were in my room, look, when you lose a ball game, that overrides everything. But when you get down to the technicality of your room, you've been in rooms where, you grade your players, you go over the film. I think they both acquitted themselves pretty well.
There you go. Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Coach, there's a certain college football program that you are very much associated with that's had a pretty good season, Coach. And you and me texted back and forth a little bit the other night. I sent you one word, Coach. I sent you frog.
Ribbit.
Frog. I tell you what, my phone, I wasn't
Congratulations,
sure if hold up during that game. I mean, it was going wild, and it still is. I mean, what a really, really great sequence of events this season has been in the first year for Sonny Dykes there. I'm still very closely tied with that program with a lot of people. Look, it's a wonderful thing. I think it's a wonderful thing, for college football. Guys, college football is a different world now. I mean, but with the transfer portal, with the NIL, you can put a team together a lot differently than you used to be. You don't have to, and plus, I mean, it makes a point that in this day and age, you don't necessarily have to have a team full of 5-stars. You have to have a team full of players that are a team. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's great. Yeah. I mean, I was at a big gathering of Frog people watching it. So, we were having a pretty good time.
Will Coach Mack be able to attend this particular championship game that's coming up this next week?
Well, I mean, first of all, my focus is on what the Titans are doing.
It depends on this weekend, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I've been offered an opportunity to go, which is very kind of the people. But anyway, we will see. First of all, I want the Titans to win this ball game Saturday and get into the playoffs, and then we'll worry about the Frogs. The Frogs have been doing really well without me being there, so I might still just be able to be there in heart and watch them again and cheer them. But I'm all for it. It's a great, great thing. And as I said, the only thing I say when people ask me about it, I say Frog.
We got before we let you go, we got to have some history here. Can you give us just a few phrases of the fight song of the Frogs before you go?
Bazoo, lickety, lickety, zoo, zoo, hoo, wah, wah, hoo, give them hell, TCU. That's it.
Ooh, there we go. Coach Mack, right
Thank you,
there.
Coach. We'll be listening to Mack Talk tonight. Rhett Bryan jumped in earlier and just said you guys are there. You're going to be taking people's calls. They got anything they want to weigh in about Damar Hamlin or anything else, Titans, Jags.
Absolutely.
You guys will be there to take those calls.
This is the final Mack Talk of the season. It's been a wonderful season on Mack Talk. Love all the fans that call in, and we are looking forward to doing it tonight. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Looking forward to hearing it. Frog. Coach Mack, the main TCU Horned Frog. All right, when we come back, Lucas wants to give away Preds tickets. You want Preds tickets? You can get them for free, but you got to come back next. Also, Josh Dobbs today talking about his second start as a Tennessee Titans quarterback. Let's hear from the former Vol and current Titans QB. Also, Gordy in Hendersonville is on hold. Gordy, we will come to you first if you want to hold through the break. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. We'll hear from Josh Dobbs in just a second, but this is your show. When you call, we get to you. Gordy in Hendersonville wanted to weigh in on a subject that's near to our hearts and all of ours, and we've talked a lot about it today, Damar Hamlin. Gordy, thanks for calling in on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
Oh, I'm very glad to call in. I am a heart survivor, and I'm just wondering, is anybody thinking about what he would want? I went through physical therapy, intensive care, open heart surgery, the whole schmear. I was in the hospital for 90 days, and I never, ever wanted the world to shut down around me. It seems like everybody's trying to shut the world down around this guy, and that might not be what he wants. It's a game he loves. He may want it to go on, and he may want his life to go on.
Gordy, thank you for the phone call and the perspective, and I'm glad you are okay. I'm glad you made it through your ordeal okay. Let's get to Dobbs, but Lucas, I know you want to give away these tickets, so let's do it. This is interesting. Calling all University of Kentucky fans, students, and alumni. It is University of Kentucky night at the Preds game on January 17th. Caller 5 now wins tickets to see the Preds host the Blue Jackets. Going to be a lot of blue in the arena that night. January 17th at Bridgestone Arena. Caller 5 gets the ticket, 615-737-1045. You can rep the Wildcats at the Preds game on January 17th. Buy a special college night ticket. Get a co-branded hat with your special ticket purchase. Experience Smashville this month. Visit nationalpredators.com/tickets and do not miss out. Don't miss out on this. Josh Dobbs today talking before practice about his second start as a Tennessee Titan.
Yeah, the game and obviously the magnitude of the game, right? Everything around it. It's what you dream of playing in NFL football. You want to play meaningful football, especially in December and January, right? You want to play in those playoff games. So you want to be a part of that. So I've watched and been a part of teams. I've been a part of that. So to play in it, there's a lot of excitement around it, but also there's also recognition in the preparation, right? The lead up to it, the maximizing today being Tuesday, a Wednesday practice, maximizing those reps and my encounters with my teammates and helping them get prepared, help them see what I'm seeing from the quarterback position, so that when Saturday comes, we just go play football and all the emotions out of it is taken away. We're able to just lock in on each play and just go play ball.
And dude's been here less than 2 weeks, Blaine, and he is about to take this team to Jacksonville Saturday night. The one interesting thing about them playing on Saturday night that I thought of was that's one less day for him to be in the system and prepare. But he sounds cool, calm, and collected. He sounds like Josh Dobbs talking about going to play this game.
Yeah, that's what I love about him is his calming spirit about him. And then he breaks everything down just to make it simplistic. At the end of the day, you want to feel comfortable and go out there and just play football. And that's really what it's all about. I'm interested to see now that you have film on yourself, what do the Jags do? And then what did you I guess, expose maybe to them that maybe they could attack? And what do you add to it if you're the Titans to what he did and maybe be a little bit better and maybe have some other wrinkles, whether that be Malik Willis and him on the field at the same time or whatever it may be in this second go-round playing the Jacksonville Jaguars for all the marbles here to make the playoffs. So theoretically, this is a playoff game. And how does not only Dobbs, but everybody else handle that kind of pressure in the moment, whether it be, a close game on your side or the other way? So, and do you rise to the occasion? Because it's playoffs. This is you in, you win, you in. So this is a playoff game right here.
It's interesting because if you're a Jags defender, if you're the Jags defensive staff, you have one game of film. One. That's it. There's one game of film to watch. One game. It's last week.
Yeah. Now, and it's not just film of Dobbs, but you get a little bit of that. But they ran their offense. So you want to go back and look at, 2 or 3 years of, Downing calling plays and what he likes to do, and that they're going to run their offense. It may be a little more catered to him with the read options and everything else. But other than that, I think they were running the offense as though Tannehill was back there at quarterback. So I'm not expecting to see a whole bunch of new things by any means, but I want to see some things that you add that you're pretty confident as a play caller that he can run, because he implicated that he ran some plays that he hadn't even run at practice. He ran in the game, and that is not a good feeling. And when you're especially the quarterback.
Oof.
So That was after the game. So now hopefully he has at least run through all the plays and ran them at least one time. So now maybe you can add to it. So and he went downtown. So I always like when the quarterback, even if it's incomplete, to go downtown. To me, at least twice in a game. But you should probably theoretically be doing that probably 4 times a game. Because if not, the defense is going to continue to clamp down closer and closer to you and make it real difficult for the intermediate passing game.
And granted, we'll have Wednesday and Thursday and Friday to talk about this coming up. But, I mean, if you're the Jaguars, it's like, let's just stop Derrick Henry and just see what happens after. That same philosophy that everybody has every week.
But nothing's going to change with it, because that's what the Titans are. That's their identity.
Yeah.
Now, what is intriguing is that they threw the ball 39 times. I didn't even think about this. How many times they threw the ball 39 times with Tannehill at quarterback?
0 this season.
Exactly. Exactly my point. So how many times do you think they've done that over his time here with the Titans?
That would be an interesting thing to go look at. I could tell you the season high this year is 38 before the Dallas game.
Yeah, because I don't recall them ever throwing 40 passes in a game with him at the quarterback position, especially with Henry as the running back. 40 times?
If they did, it would have only been a game they got blown out or something and just out there chucking it around.
Right.
But even then, they didn't. They just handed the ball to Derrick Henry and let the clock run out.
So I want to say that they felt more than comfortable. And I know at some point, you got behind there at Dallas, but that was, at the end there. So, yeah, I think they feel real comfortable with their decision with Dobbs, not only going into the game, but now going into the second game. They're going to feel even more confident. I'm talking about the coaching staff. And the players now are going to be in belief of all that, if not during the game, after the fact, going into this, win you're in game against the Jaguars. Yeah. If I was betting money, I'd bet we haven't thrown 40 times at all as Tannehill. It's probably one time, I bet you, but I don't think so. So that was kind of interesting in itself that they ran their offense.
It looks like 6 times in his career.
6 times?
They threw it 40
Titan?
or more. Yes.
What game? Well, how bad were they getting beat?
I don't know if the song's long enough to hit it, but we can get into this tomorrow. But he's thrown more than 39 passes 6 times. Now he did a bunch as a Dolphin.
No, I know they were slinging it around.
Looks like 6 times as a Titan that he did it.
And Dobbs did it in his first start.
And it certainly looks like all losses. Now there's one that they won 16-14, but I'll do more extensive research on this before tomorrow.
That's good though. He was 1-5.
But we got to get out of here. Jeremy Fowler says, the sense I get after asking around the Bills, they'd be surprised if the Bengals game ever resumes at all. So there's the latest on that as we leave you. 3HL, we'll have you coming up next until 6 o'clock, and then Mac Talk right here on The Zone.
Well, in the meantime.
In between time.
Peace. And prayer.